I'm really excited. I get to play Castlevania with Tim Turi. When I think of Tim Turi, I see him at home either sleeping, eating, or playing Castlevania or Mega Man. How close of a picture is that, Tim?
Well, I do sleep and eat habitually, and I have been playing some Castlevania 1 at home, so pretty accurate. Well done.
I'm Andrew Reiner, and we got Ben Reeves here as well.
Howdy ho.
Hello, hello. Jason A. Strikers putting the video together, and we are taking a look at a new game that's an old game that came out, what was it, earlier in the year?
Yeah, it was earlier this year. Came out for 3DS. And
a lot of menus in this game.
Yeah, no kidding. I wanted to put on subtitles for those that would like to know what's going on while we talk.
And this is Mirrors of Fate.
Yeah, Mirror of Fate. It's Lords of Shadow. I'm sorry, it's Castlevania Lords of Shadow M- Mirror of Fate HD. So yeah, this bridges Lords of Shadow 1 that came out a couple years ago for 360 PS3, starring Gabriel Belmont. Spoiler for the end of Lords of Shadow coming up. I'm going to say it. It was already revealed in all the coverage for Lords of Shadow 2. Gabriel Belmont becomes Dracula.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So this sort of bridges his transformation and stuff, and
he lived in a castle, now he's out in the woods.
Well, this prologue is weird. You'd have to play it.
Just a bum.
He is a total bum with, armed guards.
He's a hobbit, really.
But this is cool. This part I think might take place before. It jumps around a little bit because his wife Maria is still alive, and they have a son, and then he goes away, and it bounces around within the timeline. But it's very fun for people that like the story in Lords of Shadow.
Fire effects. Wow.
I'd be more concerned with the water that was flowing uphill in the previous picture than this thing.
Oh yeah, that's a big concern. These things, you know what? It's really cool seeing this in HD actually, because those guys were just sort of, you could tell they were monsters and stuff, but this is actually my first time playing Mirror Fate HD, because I reviewed the DS one the 3DS one, and I liked it. I think I gave it an 8.5. And already it's just like, this game does really well with HD, I think.
Don't let your dudes die, Tim.
I think they're gonna probably not make it.
Well, you just abandoned them, so of course they're not.
See you guys. So I am Gabriel Belmont with the combat cross, which is the weapon that replaces the vampire killer whip.
Wait, he already has this, even though this takes place before.
This might be
last game.
You know what? I can't remember. I'd have to. It's been a while since I played it, but this game does zap around to different timelines, and they do some fun stuff with it, with Trevor Belmont and Alucard's part of the picture. And if you're interested,
how many playable characters?
There's 4, including Gabriel.
Tim, your dudes are dropping like fives.
So it's Gabriel, Simon, Trevor, and Alucard are playable characters. And this is just a prologue part as Gabriel. What's really cool is, they've shown in some teasers for Lords of Shadow 2 that Alucard's part of the game, and it kind of shows how, he comes into the picture and stuff, which is cool. And speaking of Alucard, I just want to make a distinction here. Mm-hmm. If you are a big fan of Symphony of the Night and all of the older Castlevania games that came out, the in-house Konami ones that came out for GBA and DS, like Circle of the Moon to Order of Ecclesia, this is not one of those games. This is a side-scrolling God of War type game,
Okay.
Totally slower paced, fewer enemies, different progression.
Not Metroidvania-like?
There is elements of that, definitely.
Yes.
Now I can grapple up a wall, but it's a little more streamlined that way. It's not as, get lost and see what this new ability does now.
It's kind of like a hybrid between the two, because I started playing this over the weekend, and you do have the map, and you're getting new items and abilities, and now I can get through this door or this area because I have this item.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more, toned down. It's a lot more linear to some degree too, where you have set levels.
They point you in the direction of the stuff you're supposed to go and, use your new item on, for example, or, there'll be a convenient portal right as soon as you finish up with a certain area, and it just kind of shepherds you along pretty well.
But the impression I get is you can always go back too.
Yeah, Kyle Hilliard, he went back and got 100% on it right away. He really enjoyed it too.
Now, if you played it on 3DS or Vita, right?
Just 3DS.
If you played it on 3DS, are you gonna get anything new out of this, or is it just seeing it in a larger frame?
From what I gather, this is just a up-resed version of it, which and it's cheaper, which is good. I'm not sure what it costs to. I don't know what the 3DS version costs now, but downloadably, it's definitely more affordable.
Now, do you switch between the 3 characters, or is it kind of like
5
this guy?
It's
Oh,
4. It's
oh.
Gabriel, Simon, Trevor, and Alucard.
We should get that wrong one more time.
Okay.
7?
So
It's
the 6
18 characters
you have.
actually. It's
All
like
4 of those
it's
guys
like
should-
Harmony of Despair. It's like that sort of roster. But no, yeah, it's those 4. No, it's all sequential. You go through each of them in a row.
Okay.
All
'cause
4 of those guys should be in Smash Brothers.
My God,
that would be awesome.
I mean, they've already worked with Konami for Snake. Let's get Bill Reiser and Lance from Contra. Get a Belmont in there, or maybe a Dracula.
You think they'd be a better fit than Snake? They're brawlers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially, I mean, yeah, Dracula would just be an awesome addition to Smash Bros.
Dracula's a Ghostbuster.
What's
Afraid of no
that?
Ghost.
Because
Because he just trapped that guy
Yeah.
in, I guess it could be a Pokeball.
It's
but
like a cross between Ghostbusters and
It's kind of like, what do they call those?
Pokebusters.
The traps that they used in Ghostbusters?
Probably just trapped.
Ghost traps.
Ghost traps? I thought they had a name.
I don't know. Yeah, there might be like numbers in it. or
Meanwhile-
something.
Were they called the Poke Traps?
Okay, so what happens here, I think, is
Oh.
these are, I think, the Brotherhood of Light or whatever it was. They're like, hey, Gabriel's gone, and we want your kid.
You have seen it.
Yeah, here we go.
They gave the baby a metal thing? That's not safe.
I think they're sort of like inducting him into this brotherhood.
I actually really dig the art style of these animated sequences.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Except the guy that just has his mouth open the whole time.
He's a little weird. What a mouth breather.
So yeah, it fleshes out a little bit of the story with Marie and stuff, which things in Lords of Shadow, I guess I already spoiled it, but that's the big reason behind Gabriel's sort of, he's so upset and like he has this vengeance and he's so angry, and a lot of it has to do with how things play out with Maria. Or Marie, I think it's Marie.
Such a beautiful name.
Oh man, we just had a cutscene. Now we got to read?
Yeah. So that was Trevor. Yeah, so this is what's weird. Okay, so setting up the story, that was Gabriel. The son in that picture was Trevor, and then it zaps forward even further to playing as Simon. So
Wait, are those-
Which is
let's skip
Trevor's
this.
son.
Which is Trevor's son.
Yeah, so
we go down like three generations.
So it'd be Gabriel's grandchild.
Yeah.
Is Simon. Who you're
Exactly.
about to play now, 57 years later.
Yeah.
Which, does that math seems a little, maybe not.
Think about how long people lived back then.
23.
I don't know if I can even say that, how long people lived back then. There's vampires, so they live for thousands of years. But it wasn't like weren't you lucky to like live to like 30 back in like.
Well, that's the weird thing. You
Olden
probably
times.
started having kids when you were 18.
Yeah, exactly.
so
Probably before that.
You'd have.
No, you were living plenty long.
Well, I'm just saying.
People with long gray beards.
I'm just saying when you start having kids.
Well, that's why elders were so well respected, right? Because you made it, dude.
Right.
I believe you.
Impressive.
You're somehow alive.
So this is him older. That was actually really confusing me when I first played. I was like, wait a minute, what just happened?
It-
He's actually had a dream of him when he was younger.
Yeah. It jumps around quite a bit, and that can be confusing, but
So this is still Simon when he's older and beefier and more badass.
yeah. And these are memorable names like Trevor Belmont, Simon, Alucard. These are all like
Ben Reeves.
they're all established characters in the fiction, but this is they aren't the characters that really. It's a new storyline that they're setting up here and trying to flesh out more with this sort of interlude.
Rank them, Tim. Rank them 1 to 4.
1 to 4. I'd say Alucard is the coolest.
Correct.
Followed by
Yeah, that's pretty good.
probably. I mean, like Gabriel becomes Dracula, so I guess you kind of count
Yeah,
that.
but he only has...
And I haven't played as him yet.
You haven't played
Yeah.
Lords of
two
Shadow
yet,
2.
so it's kind of hard to say.
I mean, I played a little bit and it was really
He was
cool.
pretty cool in the first one, though.
Yeah, he was. But I mean, I'd probably go like Alucard, Simon, Trevor.
Oh, Gabriel's last, huh?
I think so. I mean,
They're
I
all
don't know.
pretty badass.
I love the classic games so much. Wasn't
But they didn't have that much. I mean, honestly, they didn't have that much personality. In the
Yeah,
old
but their
games.
adventure was cool.
my question is
Yeah, but
Trevor the Belmont in the first game, or is it Simon?
I think it's Simon, right?
But I know he's for sure the one in the second one. Trevor is the third game, I think.
look it
He's
up.
the one in
Castlevania
the
3.
TV show.
So you're just
The
looking-
Game Master.
Castlevania 1.
Okay, so Castlevania 1, 2, and 3, I think it goes Simon, Trevor. If I had to put money on it, that's what I would go for.
That's a good law firm name.
Simon, and Trevor.
Simon. That is pretty good. Or for a
The
TV
Brotherhood of
show.
Rights.
Remember the TV show Simon and Simon?
Yes.
Only that had been about vampires.
But, just to kind of touch on what's going on in the game here real quick. This is like weightier, slower combat. This is like compared to other like Circle of the Moon and stuff like that. It feels like platforming and combat from Lords of Shadow, but side scrolling.
The little bit I played, Tim, the platforming felt a little bit, I don't know, sloppy. Did you get that impression?
Yeah,
just like you weren't quite sure. It's like, can I make that jump? I don't know. And then all of a sudden you would grab it and be like, oh, I guess I can. But then what sucked about that is you think like, well, I'll just jump for everything. But if you miss a jump,
that's the weird
fall
thing.
super far, you can die.
That's one thing that's like if you are just a classic Castlevania fan and you're looking at this and you're like, oh wow, it's side scrolling again. Maybe this is like the old days. You can fall too far and die, which is just bizarre for classic Symphony of the Night clone style
I don't
games.
even remember Lords of Shadow doing that.
Yeah.
Was that a problem in Lords of Shadow? You could die if you fell too far?
You usually fell into nothingness.
Yeah, you totally could. Remember how bad the DLC was with the platforming?
Oh, yeah, that DLC was such garbage, unfortunately.
So I might be wrong, which never happens, but Simon is from 1 and 2, apparently.
Yeah, and then Trevor.
Right.
Okay.
And then, so Trevor, he was always his dad?
Yeah, I think Castlevania 3 is supposed to go back in time.
Okay.
It jumps around so much.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of like string the, I don't know, whole chronology of Castlevania
They
together.
did it for the release of one of the games, and it was just the most confusing thing. What is this again?
That's a scroll. It gives you a little bit of text to read. Tells you some history.
Oh yeah. You collect scrolls and you get like a little experience from it, like in Lords of Shadow. It's just to flesh out and give a little backstory. This reminds me of like a little bit of an homage to Castlevania 4, Super Castlevania 4, which I think.
And then you take on a giant skeleton.
That's 64.
Oh.
Remember
Oh my
that?
gosh! Did you like
the one
64?
with the curly whip? Cool whip physics.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Castlevania 64?
I have a soft spot for it. It's
Do you really?
It's a guilty pleasure. And I remember specifically we booted it up on a replay, which you can find, and
that game was
I
rough.
did so poorly.
That game was really tough.
Maybe, that would honestly be a good super replay contender because there is like unfair deaths and weird parts in it, but I might get a little too much pleasure out of it for it to actually count. So
Let's just do it. I'm sick of looking for games. Let's just do it.
okay.
Yeah.
So I can't pull this. Oh yeah, and there's some puzzles. There's environmental puzzles and stuff.
This looks pretty cool. It looks fun. It looks a little slower than other side-scrolling Castlevanias.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. It's much slower.
That's as far as that goes?
I guess so. Maybe it was just to pull it out to.
To get over it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably totally what it was.
Oh, nice.
And the guys, there's not as many dudes. Like in being with a slower pace, you're not fighting guys nearly as much. But
What happens when you level?
you just kind of sequentially unlock moves, sort of like in Lords of Shadow. One thing that's cool is that the characters, while they all have a whip mostly, they have slightly different abilities. Like Trevor finally gets the light and dark magic back from Lords of Shadow, and you do that sort of switch back and forth between those. And Trevor is my favorite character to play. I think he's the last one you play, and it was a lot of fun. So I would recommend, if you don't like Simon specifically, which I think he was one of my least favorite characters, I would recommend at least just pushing through and checking out Alucard, checking out Trevor before you write the game off. But
Wait, you just said Gabriel was like your least favorite character.
No, that you actually like play. Gabriel's my least favorite in the series out of those 4. I'm not talking about gameplay wise. You don't play enough of Gabriel for me to like really rank him for this game.
That guy's really dumb looking.
When we were talking about ranking them, I ranked them as my favorites just as far as characters go.
What was that little guy, Tim?
Oh no, what have you done?
He was like a weird mask.
Is that it? He's just gone.
He comes up and he sort of like guides you along a little bit, and he's sort of like a link between all of the. I think this is like Sonic air bubbles.
Is he like the follow guy from Call of Duty?
Not that overt, but he.
It's weird when he showed up in Call of Duty.
He appears and he talks to Alucard, Trevor, and Simon, and it's weird. He's some stuff happens with him. I don't want to spoil it. So
one of my favorite things about Lords of Shadow, obviously the ending was fantastic. I know people are in different camps on that, but it kind of blew me away. But was that the gameplay kept evolving as it went along. You kept getting new powers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whether it was the wings or anything like that. Do they have a similar progression in this where they keep changing things up, or are you kind of stuck with each character having their own set abilities.
They do give you new abilities, and you get that sort of sense of progression that way, where I can explore new areas or do new things in combat. But the way it differs is, now I got all of Simon's abilities. Well, now they're gone because I'm going to start as Alucard.
Gotcha.
And that was probably one of the more jarring things about the game. But I liked all of them for I liked getting a kind of a reboot of abilities, but I would have rather, I think, overall just had all the abilities stick with me, because Alucard had some interesting moves, like a mist ability let him like phase through enemies, but then once you start playing Trevor after him, you don't have it anymore, and it changed the way that I played the game. And I really enjoyed that move, so that could frustrate some people. But if you like Lords of Shadow, if you like the idea of, if you like games like God of War or Devil May Cry or Lords of Shadow, and you want to see it kind of like in a side-scrolling perspective and see how that works together, this would be a good game for people that are interested in checking something out like that.
What did you think of the boss battles? Because I know I played a few of them, and they were kind of hard, in a good way.
They can be tough.
But I just wonder if they get like super hard at the end, or it's just like you're beating your head against a wall.
I mean, they're generally pretty difficult throughout, as I remember. I remember probably dying on an average like once per, but the final boss battle, who I'm not gonna spoil who it's against, but you can maybe guess, Mega Man and Sonic.
Mega Man and Sonic.
It turns out that these games, I'm using them as examples of when they always try to pull the wool over your eyes.
I thought you were saying they were the final boss battle.
But
Mega Man and Sonic.
That would be awesome. I probably would have talked about that a lot more.
Right.
But
no wonder you like this game so much.
It's a really good final boss battle, and the thing is that the final battle, you are playing as Trevor, and so you get that light and dark magic. And if you remember, like, having to use the light and dark magic in some of the original Lords of Shadows boss battles,
they were tough.
Those
boss battles were really a challenge,
and they were many, which was really cool too.
Yeah,
There's a
I
lot
love that game.
Yeah, me too. And so I'm excited for next year. This would be a good one for if you loved Lords of Shadow, you don't have a 3DS, and you wanted to check out this cool side-scrolling interlude, then this is definitely something to play while you wait for Lords of Shadow 2 to come out next year.
And before we go, Tim, can you just bring up the map? I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a Castlevania style map. It's blue with white outlines, which everyone will remember from Symphony of the Night.
There's a red dot there.
It fills in. That's an objective.
Right.
Yeah. And it will mark secrets and stuff as you go along, so you know where to come back to. Teleporter points. It's not like you're going to be cruising around it and looking for secrets like in the previous ones, but it's definitely handy to have. So.
And then the upgrades are where?
Let's go check them out. This kind of explains your items, your level. These are your abilities.
Yeah, that's very familiar.
I unlocked a lot of these. Yeah, and so it's just like, I'm going to get area of attack combo final, so I can finish off my area attack stuff. So,
all right. Well, it looks fun.
It's a good game. I like it.
And it looks like it ported pretty well to Xbox 360. Is it also on PSN?
And this is my first time seeing it too, and I think it looks really good. It's one of those situations where it's like I'm jealous that people are going to be experiencing it this way for the first time, because it looks that good. So
if you get the chance, play it on the consoles first, you would say?
Yep.
Otherwise, it's still a good enough game to play on 3DS.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty. Thank you, Tim, for showing us this game, and thank you all again for watching.
You're welcome.
We'll see you next week on Test Chamber.